Hip hop, a cultural revolution that continues to impact society. It carries on through dancing, to cooking Thanksgiving dinner. All ages, all races, men and women, worldwide, coast to coast. The beginning of hip hop is considered to be when the Last Poets, a poetry group, combined music and political poetry in their debut recording in 1970. The next big step in hip hop was in 1973 when Clive Campbell held his first party. He became known as DJ Kool Herc. He held these parties in dangerous neighborhoods in New York and later became known as one of the most legendary pioneers in hip hop. These parties also influenced the beginning of graffiti tagging. Not long after, in 1974, DJ Kool Herc inspired hip hop artists started to make a name for themselves, including Afrika Bambaataa and Grandmaster Flash. In 1979, the Sugar Hill Gang made their way into the picture and released Rapper's Delight. This introduced many Americans to rap culture. Also at this time, To the Beat Y'all was released by Lady B, one of hip hop's first woman rappers. In 1980, Curtis Blow released The Breaks, his best-selling album, and performed on Soul Train to become the first rapper to make an appearance on national TV. One year later, the first feature story on TV news about rap culture is aired on 2020. In 1983, some of the first West Coast raps are released by Ice-T. In the same year, Run DMC begins New Trends in Rap and gets airplay on Top 40 Radio and MTV. A year later, the first rap-only radio station is formed, K-Day LA. In 1986, Run DMC and Aerosmith collaborated to form the song Walk This Way, which made its way into mainstream music. In 1987, the debut album of Public Enemy is released. Shortly after, Push It by Salt-N-Pepa gets a Grammy nomination and reaches 19 on the pop charts. In that same year, politicians said hip hop is morally corrupt at a press conference where Run DMC had to defend themselves. In 1988, Ice-T's second album, Power, becomes the first rap record to hold a parental advisory label. Also in that year, the album Straight Outta Compton is released by NWA. The album was a focal point in West Coast rap and took many political stances. One of the songs that went after the police force earned an FBI notice. It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back was released by Public Enemy also in this year. It was their second album. A year later, they released Fear of a Black Planet, their third album. In 1989, MC Hammer released his album Please Hammer, Don't Hurt 'Em. This album sold over 10 million copies. Also in 1989, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince boycotted the Grammys after hearing that they wouldn't air the rap category. Also, the Beastie Boys' second album is released. At the end of 1989, all subway cars with graffiti were retired in New York. Ice Cube leaves NWA in 1989. America's Most Wanted is released as Ice Cube's first solo album in 1990. Also in 1990, Will Smith, aka The Fresh Prince, becomes a star in the TV show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In 1991, rap artists become spokespeople for the black community after Rodney King is broadcast being beat by the police. Also in 1991, Ice Cube stars in Boys in the Hood. In 1992, Death Row Records is formed by Dr. Dre and Suge Knight. In 1993, Bad Boy Entertainment is formed by Sean Puffy Combs. More attention is drawn to Bad Boy Entertainment in 1994 when Biggie Smalls released his album Ready to Die. Also in 1994, the East Coast-West Coast rivalry kicks up a notch after Suge Knight insults Sean Combs at the Source Awards. In 1995, Eazy-E from NWA dies of AIDS. Also in that year, Tupac Shakur signs with Death Row Records. A year later, Tupac is shot and killed after a Mike Tyson fight. It is considered to be one of the most mysterious deaths in modern times. A year later, Biggie Smalls is shot leaving a party in LA. His death is also considered to be very mysterious. His album, Life After Death, is released days after he died. In 1998, Jay-Z makes his way into the hip hop picture with the release of his album, Volume 2, Hard Knock Life. Eminem is signed by Dr. Dre, and his album, The Slim Shady, makes its way to the top of the Billboard rankings. In 1999, Lauryn Hill's album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, wins 5 Grammy Awards. Rappers Lil Wayne and Ludacris introduce a different era of rap. In 2002, Jam Master Jay from Run DMC is murdered outside of the recording studio in New York at the age of 37. Also in 2002, Eminem's autobiography film 8 Mile gets an Oscar nomination for its song Lose Yourself. In 2003, rapper 50 Cent released Get Rich or Die Trying, his debut album after Eminem signed him. 2 years later, 50 Cent released an autobiography film, Get Rich or Die Trying, which went with his book, documentary, and video game. In 2005, female rapper Queen Latifah hosted the Grammy Awards.
Gifts I scan become blessings. The movement is a
Who knows
rhythm
how
to
hip-hop
us.
will
Freedom is
influence
like
the future
religion
of
to
our
us.
society?
Justice is juxtapositioning us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. I won't be nothing. Now they always say congratulations. Work so hard, forgot how to vacation. Credit cards and the scammers, hitting the licks in the van. Legacy, family, way it look like a plan.